The haunting of the Driskill Hotel. The Driskill Hotel, located in Austin, Texas, is not just one of the most luxurious and historic hotels in the city, it's also one of the most haunted. Built in 1886 by cattle baron Jess Driskill, the hotel has a reputation for its beauty, grandeur, and inexplicable paranormal activity. Over the years, guests have reported numerous eerie encounters, including sightings of ghostly apparitions, strange noises, and a heavy sense of unease that blankets the property. Some guests who checked into the Driskill came for a restful stay but left with stories of chilling encounters that have stuck with them for life. The mysterious death of a little girl. One of the most infamous stories tied to the Driskill Hotel involves the tragic death of a young girl. In 1887, just a year after the hotel opened, a 4-year-old girl named Samantha Houston was staying at the hotel with her father, a U.S. senator. The playful child had been running and skipping through the grand halls of the hotel when she tripped, tumbling down the grand staircase. Tragically, she didn't survive the fall. Since then, guests have reported seeing the ghost of a little girl wearing a turn-of-the-century dress, playing near the stairs where Samantha fell to her death. Some have claimed to hear the sound of a ball bouncing or a child's faint laughter echoing in the halls late at night. One of the most famous haunted paintings in the hotel, an eerie portrait of a girl resembling Samantha, hangs in the hotel's lobby. Visitors who stop to gaze at the painting sometimes claim to feel uneasy, and a few have reported seeing the girl's expression change, or the feeling that they're being watched. Room 525. A room with a dark past. Room 525 has an especially dark history. According to local law, 2 different brides took their own lives in this room, decades apart. The stories go that both brides were heartbroken after their marriages fell apart, and both chose to end their lives in the same room. The first incident occurred in the early 1900s, while the second took place in the 1990s, adding an unsettling modern twist to the tale. Guests who stay in room 525 have reported bizarre occurrences, lights flickering without explanation, doors opening and closing on their own, and an overwhelming feeling of sorrow that can be suffocating. One couple staying in the room recounted waking up in the middle of the night to find the bathroom faucet running at full blast. When they got up to check it, they claimed to hear faint sobbing coming from the room, though no one was there. Some guests and staff believe the room is cursed, and despite its beauty, many are reluctant to stay there. Paranormal investigators have visited the room multiple times and have picked up strange anomalies such as unexplained temperature drops and electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, that capture whispers and faint cries. The spirit of Jess Driskill. Jess Driskill, the hotel's founder, was a larger-than-life figure known for his success as a cattle baron and his larger-than-life personality. Unfortunately, poor financial decisions forced him to sell his beloved hotel just 2 years after it opened. Heartbroken and devastated, Driskill passed away soon after. But many believe that he never truly left the hotel. Driskill is said to haunt the halls of his hotel, especially the grand lobby. His apparition has been spotted by guests and staff, described as a tall man in a dapper suit and cowboy boots, walking the halls as if inspecting his property. Some guests have even claimed to smell the faint scent of cigar smoke, Driskill's trademark, lingering in the air, even though smoking has long been prohibited in the hotel. One eerie tale involves a young woman who was staying in the hotel with her family. Late one night, she stepped into the grand lobby to find an older man sitting in one of the chairs by the fireplace, puffing on a cigar. The man smiled and tipped his hat, but when she turned away for a moment and looked back, the man had vanished. She later recognized the figure as Jess Driskill when she saw his portrait hanging on the wall. The 4th floor, a hotspot for paranormal activity. The 4th floor of the Driskill Hotel is notorious for its paranormal activity. Guests staying on this floor have reported a wide range of eerie experiences, from hearing footsteps pacing up and down the hallway when no one is there, to seeing shadowy figures darting in and out of rooms. The feeling of being watched is common, and some guests have woken up to find their belongings moved or disturbed. One particularly chilling story involves a hotel maid who was cleaning one of the rooms on the 4th floor. While making the bed, she suddenly felt as though someone was standing directly behind her. When she turned around, no one was there, but the feeling of a presence was so intense that she quickly left the room, refusing to go back inside. Other staff members have shared similar stories, describing moments when they felt unseen eyes on them or heard voices calling their names. The Senate Wing and the ghostly figure. Another hotspot for ghostly activity is the Senate Wing of the hotel, which was added in 1930. This area has been the site of many paranormal sightings, with guests reporting strange occurrences, such as lights flickering on and off and strange noises in the middle of the night. One of the most famous sightings involves the ghost of a woman who appears on the second floor of the Senate Wing. Dressed in an elegant Victorian-era gown, she is often seen walking down the corridor or standing at the end of the hallway, staring out of the window. Those who have seen her described feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness when in her presence, as if she is mourning something or someone long lost. Some speculate that she may have been a guest at the hotel in its early years, or possibly even one of the two brides who tragically died in room 525. The Phantom Party in the Ballroom. One of the less known yet frequently reported phenomena occurs in the hotel's grand ballroom. Guests have claimed that late at night they can hear the sounds of a party, laughter, clinking glasses and music coming from the ballroom, which seems eerily festive. But when curious onlookers venture into the ballroom to catch a glimpse, they find the room completely empty. Some speculate that this could be a residual haunting, a theory in the paranormal world where certain events replay like a recording imprinted on a place. Others, however, think this party is not residual but a gathering of the spirits themselves, particularly those who once danced and celebrated life in the ballroom during the hotel's heyday. Staff working late shifts have reported hearing footsteps and voices coming from the ballroom, but each time they investigate, they find no signs of anyone in the room. Some guests who've heard the noise have been so convinced a party was happening that they tried to join it, only to find the doors locked and the lights out. The unseen entity in the elevator. The hotel's elevators, particularly the one nearest to room 525, have garnered their own share of ghost stories. Guests have reported stepping into the elevator alone, only to feel the distinct sensation that someone else was riding with them. Cold spots, a frequent sign of paranormal activity, are often felt inside the elevator without any explanation. One well-known account comes from a hotel guest who rode the elevator late at night. As she descended to the lobby, she claimed to feel the pressure of a hand on her shoulder, but when she turned around, there was no one in the elevator with her. Shaken, she rushed out as soon as the doors opened, vowing never to use that particular elevator again. Hotel employees have also shared tales of the elevator moving between floors without any guests requesting service, doors opening and closing as if an unseen presence was summoning it. Some paranormal investigators believe that this spirit could be connected to one of the many souls who met an untimely demise in the hotel, or one of the brides from room 525. The haunted mirror. Mirrors are often associated with ghost stories, believed by many to act as portals between the world of the living and the dead. The Driskill Hotel's infamous haunted mirror, located in one of its suites, is said to be one such doorway. Guests who have stayed in the suite have reported seeing reflections in the mirror that don't belong to them, shadowy figures, fleeting images of people dressed in old-fashioned clothes, or faces peering over their shoulders. One particularly creepy story involves a woman who woke up in the middle of the night and glanced into the mirror across from her bed. To her horror, she saw not just her own reflection, but a tall, shadowy figure standing behind her, staring intently at her. When she quickly turned around, the room was empty. Yet, every time she glanced back into the mirror, the figure remained. This mirror has reportedly been investigated by various paranormal experts, with some claiming they've captured strange, unexplained phenomena on camera, flickering lights, orbs, and even voices emanating from the glass during EVP sessions. The tragic tale of Peter Lawless. Another ghostly figure said to roam the Driskill Hotel is that of Peter Lawless, a railroad man who lived at the hotel for over 30 years until his death in 1910. According to legend, Lawless returned to his room each evening at 7:00 p.m. after his shift, and many believe he continues to follow this same routine even after his passing. Numerous reports of Lawless's spirit have surfaced over the years, describing a man dressed in 19th century clothing walking calmly through the hotel's halls, only to vanish when approached. He's often seen riding the elevators, sometimes accompanied by a cold breeze, which many believe is his ghostly signature. A story from the 1970s tells of a guest who saw a man in old-fashioned clothes walking toward her on the second floor. She described how the man tipped his hat to her but disappeared before her eyes as he reached the end of the hallway. Later, she learned about the legend of Peter Lawless and realized she may have encountered his restless spirit. The lady in white on the stairs. The ghost of a woman dressed in white has been seen frequently descending the grand staircase of the Driskill. While her identity is unknown, the lady in white is often described as appearing solemn, her figure ethereal and ghostly as she glides down the stairs in a slow, deliberate manner. Unlike other spirits at the hotel, she never interacts with guests or makes her presence known through physical activity. She simply descends, her face expressionless, before disappearing entirely at the bottom of the staircase. Some believe she may be connected to the little girl, Samantha Houston, as she's often sighted near the place where Samantha tragically died. Perhaps she is a mother, eternally mourning her lost child, or perhaps a spirit unrelated to the Houston family, simply doomed to wander the halls of the Driskill for eternity. The Ghost Bride of Room 429. Room 429 is home to yet another tragic bride. In this tale, a young woman, deeply in love and engaged to be married, was left heartbroken after being stood up at the altar. Devastated, she retreated to room 429, where she took her own life. Since then, guests staying in the room have reported hearing the faint sounds of sobbing, and some have even claimed to see the spectral figure of a woman in a wedding dress standing by the window, staring out into the night, as if waiting for someone who will never come. This ghost bride is distinct from the brides of room 525, but her story adds to the overarching theme of sorrow that permeates the Driskill. Her presence has been felt by numerous guests, many of whom have checked out early, unwilling to stay in a room haunted by such a tragic spirit. Theories behind the hauntings. The sheer number of hauntings at the Driskill Hotel has led to various theories about why the building is so active with paranormal energy. Some believe the hotel's history of tragedy, from the deaths of children to the suicides of the brides, has imprinted a sort of psychic scar on the property. Others suggest that the hotel, with its Victorian architecture and old-world grandeur, serves as a beacon for spirits who are drawn to its beauty and history. Another theory ties the hauntings to the land itself, suggesting that the area where the Driskill was built may have been cursed or energetically charged long before Jess Driskill ever laid the foundation for his opulent hotel. Whatever the reason, the Driskill Hotel continues to draw in curious guests, some seeking luxury, others seeking a ghostly encounter. Whether you believe in spirits or not, there's no denying that something eerie seems to reside in the halls of this grand hotel, waiting to reveal itself to the next unsuspecting visitor. For those who are brave enough to book a room, the question remains, will you leave with a story of your own? The legend of Colonel Jess Driskill's curse. One of the most intriguing theories surrounding the Driskill Hotel's hauntings involves the possibility of a curse placed upon the property. Jess Driskill, a larger-than-life cattle baron, poured his fortune into building the finest hotel in Texas. However, just 2 years after the hotel's grand opening, Driskill faced bankruptcy and was forced to sell the hotel, marking the beginning of a string of financial misfortunes associated with the property. Driskill's fall from wealth was seen as a tragedy, and some say his sorrow has infused the hotel with a dark energy that has led to a series of unfortunate events for many owners, guests, and staff alike. Over the years, the hotel has passed through the hands of various owners, many of whom faced business failures, personal tragedies, or strange accidents after acquiring the property. This string of bad luck has fueled speculation that Driskill's spirit cursed the hotel in his final days, unable to accept the loss of his dream. This theory is further supported by stories of Driskill's ghost being seen pacing the halls late at night, as though he's keeping a watchful eye on the hotel's operations. Many believe his spirit remains tied to the hotel not just out of love for the property but as a consequence of the curse, bound to it forever. Some guests have claimed to feel an ominous presence when standing near Driskill's portrait in the hotel's lobby. One particularly chilling account comes from a guest who reportedly felt an invisible force tugging at their arm as they stood gazing at the portrait. When the guest looked down, They saw nothing but claimed to hear the faint sound of someone whispering, "This is still my hotel." The ghost of the senator's daughter. Beyond the famous story of Samantha Houston, the hotel has hosted other well-known political figures, and one such haunting involves the ghost of a senator's daughter. In the early 1900s, a senator staying at the hotel for a political event brought his young daughter along for the trip. Unfortunately, tragedy struck when the girl became gravely ill during the stay and passed away in one of the rooms. Since her death, guests have reported seeing a young girl in a delicate nightgown wandering the halls, particularly in the late hours of the night. Some guests have even woken up to find the girl standing at the foot of their bed, her face pale and expression sorrowful before she vanishes into thin air. Guests who have seen her often report feeling overwhelming sadness and a chill in the air immediately after the sighting. The senator's daughter has been spotted several times on the 3rd and 4th floors, and though her spirit is not malevolent, those who encounter her describe an unsettling energy that seems to linger long after she disappears. The ghost in the billiard room. The Driskill Hotel was once a gathering place for influential men of the time. Politicians, cattle barons, and businessmen often met in the hotel's lavish billiard room. It was here that high-stakes games, deals, and wagers were made, sometimes with disastrous results. According to legend, one such businessman lost everything in a poker game that took place in the hotel's billiard room. Unable to handle the defeat and the financial ruin it brought, the man returned to the hotel days later and took his own life in one of the guest rooms. The billiard room itself has been the site of numerous paranormal experiences. Guests have reported hearing the sound of billiard balls clacking together long after the room has been closed for the night. On more than one occasion, hotel staff entering the room in the morning have found the pool table set up for a game, despite being left untouched the night before. A particularly eerie incident occurred when a group of guests was enjoying a late-night tour of the hotel's historic areas. As they passed the billiard room, one guest claimed to see a man in old-fashioned clothes standing at the pool table preparing to make a shot. However, when the rest of the group looked inside, the man was nowhere to be found. The ghost of the ill-fated businessman is believed to be one of the many spirits that still linger in the hotel, possibly replaying the moments of his final loss. The hotel's phantom smells. While most hauntings are visual or auditory, the Driskill Hotel is also known for its ghostly scents. One of the most common phenomena reported by guests is the sudden, unexplained scent of cigar smoke in areas where smoking is prohibited. Many believe this is the lingering presence of Jesse Driskill himself, who was known for his love of cigars. Guests have reported smelling the pungent smoke in the lobby, the hallways, and even inside their rooms, only to find no logical source for the smell. In addition to cigar smoke, guests have occasionally reported smelling perfume in the halls, particularly floral scents, often associated with the presence of one of the hotel's many ghostly women. One guest staying in a room on the 2nd floor awoke in the middle of the night to a strong smell of roses. Thinking it was the scent of the hotel's cleaning products, they tried to ignore it, but the smell grew stronger and seemed to fill the room entirely. When they mentioned the experience to the staff the next morning, they were told that previous guests had also reported the smell of roses, often accompanied by sightings of the lady in white. The Last Bride of the Driskill. One of the more recent ghost stories to emerge from the Driskill Hotel involves a bride who stayed at the hotel for her honeymoon. According to reports, the young couple checked into the hotel's honeymoon suite in the early 2000s, eager to celebrate the beginning of their new life together. However, their happiness was short-lived when the bride suddenly fell ill on the night of their arrival. Doctors were called, but her condition rapidly deteriorated and she passed away within hours. The groom, inconsolable, left the hotel immediately after her death, but the room remained sealed off for months. Guests and staff have since reported strange occurrences in the suite: cold drafts, flickering lights, and the sound of a woman softly sobbing. One guest staying in a nearby room claimed to hear the distinct sound of a woman calling out, "Why?" in the middle of the night, though the hall was empty when they checked. Paranormal investigators who have visited the hotel believe that the bride's spirit may still linger, mourning the life she never had the chance to live. Some even speculate that she may have joined the other tragic brides of the Driskill in haunting the halls of the hotel, forever bound by sorrow and loss. The Driskill today, a paranormal hotspot. The Driskill Hotel continues to attract both tourists and paranormal enthusiasts who are drawn by its luxurious accommodations and the chance to experience something otherworldly. The hotel regularly hosts ghost tours, where guests can hear the stories of its haunted past and visit the areas of the hotel most frequently associated with paranormal activity. Despite the numerous ghost sightings and eerie experiences reported over the years, the Driskill remains one of the most sought-after hotels in Austin, known for its elegance, charm, and rich history. For some, the chance to encounter a ghostly figure or hear the distant echoes of a phantom party only adds to the allure of the hotel. Whether you come for the history or the haunting, the Driskill Hotel offers an experience like no other. It's a place where the past refuses to stay in the past and where the line between the living and the dead blurs just enough to make you wonder what truly lingers in its opulent halls. The grieving spirit in room 329. Room 329 is another room that has become the subject of paranormal interest. According to some accounts, a woman staying in the room during the 1940s checked in with no apparent intention of checking out. She was a local socialite who had fallen from grace after a series of personal and financial tragedies. Despondent and isolated, she decided to end her life inside the room. Since then, guests who have stayed in room 329 have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of despair as soon as they enter. Many have described an intense emotional weight that feels almost suffocating. On several occasions, the room's air conditioning has turned off suddenly, even when the weather outside was sweltering, leaving the room uncomfortably warm, as if the spirit is trying to express her torment. Guests often wake in the middle of the night to the feeling that someone is sitting on the bed beside them, though when they look, the room is empty. One guest reported waking up to the sound of a woman softly weeping in the bathroom. When he went to investigate, he found no one, but the mirror was fogged up as if someone had recently taken a hot shower, even though the bathroom was dry. The crying sounds persisted throughout his stay, growing louder each night until he requested a different room. Paranormal investigators who have examined room 329 claim to have captured electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, of a woman's voice saying, "I'm sorry, and help me." The ghostly bride in the mezzanine. Aside from the infamous room 525 and room 429, the hotel's mezzanine has its own spectral story involving another tragic bride. In the late 1800s, a young bride-to-be was preparing for her wedding day. She stayed at the Driskill with her family, getting ready for the biggest day of her life. However, hours before the ceremony, her fiancé tragically died in a horseback riding accident just outside of town. Grief-stricken, the bride locked herself in one of the mezzanine rooms, refusing to see or speak to anyone. Days later, her family found her lifeless body in the room. She had taken her own life, overwhelmed by the sorrow of losing her fiancé. Since that tragic event, guests and staff members have reported seeing the figure of a woman in a white wedding dress walking through the mezzanine hallways. Her face is often described as tear-streaked, her eyes hollow with grief. Some guests have encountered her at the end of a hallway, staring blankly ahead as if waiting for her groom. When approached, she simply vanishes into thin air. The apparition is usually accompanied by an inexplicable cold breeze, which many believe signals her presence before she appears. Some paranormal experts suggest that this ghostly bride is different from the other brides, tied to room 525 and room 429, but her presence adds to the collection of tragic, heartbroken spirits that seem to haunt the Driskill. The politician's spirit in the governor's suite. The governor's suite, one of the hotel's most luxurious rooms, also comes with its share of haunted stories. Over the years, numerous politicians, celebrities, and high-profile figures have stayed in this room. But one politician in particular is said to have left behind more than just memories. In the 1930s, a state governor stayed in the suite while dealing with an intense political scandal. Though he eventually survived the scandal, he reportedly left the Driskill in a deep depression, and some believe his spirit has never fully departed the hotel. Guests who have stayed in the governor's suite have reported strange occurrences, including the feeling of being watched, the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth in the living room, and doors closing by themselves. One guest reported waking up in the middle of the night to see a man standing at the foot of the bed, staring intently at her. The figure wore a suit and hat typical of the early 20th century and vanished as soon as the guest blinked. Shaken, the guest later described the man to hotel staff, who believed it matched the description of the long-dead politician. Others have claimed that they've heard low, murmured conversations coming from the living room when no one else was in the suite. Some have even seen books and personal belongings moved from their original positions. Paranormal investigators have theorized that the suite's connection to intense political stress and personal drama has left a psychic imprint, causing residual hauntings that reflect the emotional turmoil experienced by the governor. The vanishing bellhop. Another strange and chilling story involves a ghostly bellhop who has been seen near the lobby and on the upper floors of the hotel. Several guests have reported encounters with a man dressed in an old-fashioned bellhop uniform, offering assistance with their luggage or giving directions to various parts of the hotel. However, once they try to follow him or turn away for just a moment, the bellhop vanishes without a trace. In one particular instance, a guest checked in late at night and was approached by the bellhop, who offered to carry her bags to her room. Grateful, she accepted, but as she followed him toward the elevator, the man disappeared before her eyes. Confused, she asked the front desk about the bellhop's whereabouts, only to be told that no one matching that description was working at the time. Another guest described a similar encounter, explaining how the bellhop had given him directions to the restaurant. However, when the guest turned back to thank him, the bellhop was gone. The descriptions of the bellhop often include details such as an old-fashioned red uniform, which has led many to believe that this spirit is a relic of the hotel's early days. The cursed painting, the little girl with the doll. The Driskill Hotel is also home to a cursed painting that has unsettled guests for decades. The painting, often referred to as the little girl with the doll, depicts a young girl wearing a Victorian-style dress, holding a small doll in her lap. The painting was commissioned in the late 1800s and is said to represent the daughter of a wealthy family who frequently stayed at the hotel. Guests and staff have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of unease when passing by the painting, as though the girl's eyes are following them. Some have even claimed that the expression on the girl's face changes, a smile turning into a frown or her eyes narrowing as if she's watching those who walk past. On multiple occasions, guests have reported hearing the sound of soft giggling or a child's voice near the painting, even when no children were present. One particularly disturbing story comes from a hotel guest who swore that, late at night, she saw the figure of the little girl from the painting standing in the hallway, clutching her doll. The figure didn't move but simply stood there, staring at the guest with wide, unblinking eyes. The guest retreated to her room, and when she peeked out again, the figure was gone. Others have reported similar sightings of a childlike figure wandering the halls, often near the painting's location, adding to the unsettling aura that surrounds this mysterious artwork. The phantom musicians. In addition to the frequent reports of ghostly parties in the ballroom, the Driskill Hotel is known for its phantom musicians. Guests have often reported hearing the sound of live piano music echoing through the hotel's grand halls, despite no visible musicians being present. This usually happens late at night or during the early hours of the morning when the hotel is at its quietest. One couple staying at the hotel during a weekend getaway described hearing soft, melodic piano music coming from the lobby as they returned to their room late at night. Curious, they walked down the stairs to find the source of the music, but when they reached the lobby, the piano was empty and the music abruptly stopped. Perplexed, they returned to their room only to hear the music again once they were back inside. Guests who've heard the phantom piano music often describe it as soft and haunting, as though someone is playing a melancholy tune. Some speculate that the music may be a remnant of the countless events, parties, and performances that took place in the hotel's early days. Others believe the ghostly pianist is an artist who once performed at the hotel and never left, choosing to continue playing from the other side. The haunted bridal suite. Aside from the notorious room 525, another suite that has drawn paranormal attention is the hotel's bridal suite. This luxurious suite, often reserved for newlyweds, has become the subject of many ghost stories. While it's a sought-after room for couples celebrating their marriage, some have left with far more than romantic memories. One unsettling tale involves a newlywed couple who stayed in the suite for their honeymoon. On their second night, the bride awoke in the middle of the night feeling cold, despite the room's heater being on. When she opened her eyes, she claimed to see a shadowy figure standing at the foot of the bed. Terrified, she tried to wake her husband, but as soon as she moved, the figure vanished. Her husband insisted it was just a nightmare, but the next night, the couple woke to the sound of faint whispers in the room, even though they were alone. Several guests have reported seeing the apparition of a woman in a white dress, similar to the other brides who are said to haunt the Driskill. This figure, however, is often described as sad rather than vengeful. Some believe this spirit could be another bride who met an untimely end in the hotel, while others think she might be connected to the tragic stories of heartbreak that seem to linger in the Driskill's walls. The third floor shadows. The third floor of the Driskill Hotel is often considered one of the most haunted areas of the property. Guests staying on this floor have reported seeing dark, shadowy figures moving quickly down the hallways. These shadows, often seen out of the corner of one's eye, disappear as soon as someone turns to get a better look. Some have even described seeing the shadows pass through walls, only to vanish as if they were never there. One guest staying in a room on the third floor described an unsettling experience that occurred in the middle of the night. He awoke to see a shadowy figure standing at the foot of his bed, motionless but distinctly human in shape. As he tried to focus his eyes, the shadow suddenly darted out of the room, passing directly through the closed door. The man rushed to the hallway, only to find it completely empty. These shadow figures are often described as featureless and silent, leading some to believe that they are not full-bodied apparitions, but rather shadow people, a type of paranormal entity that appears as a dark, human-like shape. Paranormal experts speculate that these shadows could be residual hauntings, imprints of past events that replay without interaction, or perhaps they are more sentient, watching guests from the shadows.